Haiti. Welcome to the podcast about finance, money, and all things quantum.
Also leveling up.
Today's conversation will be about leveling up, and each individual on this podcast will share two things and ask two questions that they think are necessary for someone to improve their financial well-being and, in general, improve their life and get better. Who'd like to start?
I might as well. Fuck it. Go ahead and take it.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so let's take a look at what we're trying to ask of each other. What is it that we have seen or used or done to go ahead and make ourselves a little bit more successful, correct?
Yeah.
So, personally, I feel like a lot of stuff with becoming more successful and taking more initiative into doing big ventures to put yourself ahead is, first of all, confidence. If you're not confident in yourself, if you're not able to go ahead and make the steps that are necessary to go ahead and take yourself to the next level, to that next height, to tell your boss that you need a raise or anything else like that, then you're going to be stuck in the same rut. You're not going to prosper. You're not going to improve. You're just going to be that same person in and out. And I feel like that's the first step, because you need to be very confident in yourself to understand what it is that you are doing.
Okay, that's a good one.
And the second one is, just determination. Being determined to go ahead and do these things is what's necessary as well. I mean, you can definitely start something up, but you can be like the 1% or the Bill Gates of this world who have the determination to make their product and Microsoft and all of that number one, or you can be like that other dude who has something that probably was better than Microsoft, but because that popped out first or whatever it may be, and he was no longer determined to be that Bill Gates, is no longer anyone on anyone's radar. So you have to be confident in yourself and determined to go ahead and accomplish all of these goals that you may set for yourself.
I would agree.
Confidence and determination. Those were Trevor's two things.
I mean, Los, don't you feel like if you are not confident in your actions, do you feel like there's anything that will come from it?
Yeah, Los, like when is the time that you've been like in the workplace or you've used, confidence to like level up?
To level up in the workplace and use confidence? That's a good question. I feel like, not to answer your question directly, but in general, when I'm at work and the times that I have needed to be confident, I have gotten things done. Whether that's confronting a coworker for doing something I didn't like, or confronting my boss because something wasn't right, I had to be confident enough and in the right headspace to approach them to get what I thought I deserved. In general, when I've leveled up in the workplace or done the right thing that got me noticed, I was confident. I took it upon myself to do something that was not within, the status quo. I did something that went out of my way to help a customer.
It made you feel a little bit more out of your element.
Yes. Slightly uncomfortable, but it was something that I knew would get me recognized.
How did it make you feel like uncomfortable? Like what were some of the things that felt uncomfortable about it?
Well, I just think in general, being uncomfortable is needed sometimes. I guess I don't really have a specific example, but there's different times where I've helped customers at work where it was just more so like I didn't need to do it, but I did it just without. I was like, you know what? It might seem weird. It's just people watching, but let me just do it regardless. That's kind of uncomfortable. It's not really uncomfortable, but so yeah, I would say that not caring about people's perceptions and what people might have to say, and just knowing yourself, having that confidence. I think that's what
I think definitely like I had to have confidence in certain situations that I wasn't thinking about in school, and like when you have doubters and things out there and telling you can't do something, you got to be confident in your abilities to be able to improve and to be able to push yourself forward, which kind of takes me into my question, which is about being assertive. Like, have you had to be assertive in situations to level up?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what's like one of the situations that you had to like?
Well, I currently work in a situation where I have to be assertive to let everybody know that I'm not just going to do everybody's work. Currently, there's a situation where we are understaffed like most of America is. And a lot of people don't feel like they need to do the work necessary because nobody's going to have an issue with the fact that it's undone because there's so much other shit that's going wrong. So I have to be assertive to let people know that we still have a diligent job to do. We have to sit here, we have to take care of people. We gotta wipe ass, we gotta wipe walls, and we gotta make sure that our paperwork is in on time. And if you're not doing that, no, I'm not your boss, but I'm not gonna sit here and do your job for you. And when you go ahead and get mad at me because I did not let you know that your shit was supposed to be done.
I definitely agree. I think that there's a lot of like things in the workplace where a lot of times that I've experienced in the workplace where you feel like you're doing work for other people and things like that, and you got to be kind of assertive and tell people like, look, I'm not doing your job. And I think I've definitely like experienced that as well, because I don't think that I've always been assertive enough to tell people like I'm not coming to do your job. Like that's been an uncomfortable position to be in, where I didn't really go up and say like, look, I'm not gonna go do your job. But as time has gone on, I think I've gained some more assertiveness in the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like you didn't have that assertiveness because you didn't want to be the person who was a stickler, or because you felt like you'd be disliked if you did these things?
I think that I probably come off very intimidating at times.
Yeah.
So in the event that I come off intimidating, I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen all the time in the workplace. So I think that I'm a little more laid back when it comes to certain times where I should be more assertive than not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's ways to go about changing these perceptions on ourselves, and I definitely understand, because your assertiveness can come off as either aggressive or progressive.
Right.
There's certain ways that you gotta take this. Now, Willis, what do you feel are? We went over your two.
I was gonna ask him to give us a second. His first was assertiveness.
Right.
Yeah, my other one is vulnerability. It takes a lot to be vulnerable in the workplace. It takes a lot to be vulnerable at different locations. But I think vulnerability is necessary for creativity and building and making new things happen and all that. You have to be vulnerable and give yourself up, because if you don't allow those things to occur, you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable, you won't actually get the true thing that you're trying to accomplish.
I feel like I heard that, unfortunately.
I mean, I definitely have watched some TED Talks about it.
Of course.
I've seen that viral TED Talk about being vulnerable. But at the same time, like, if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable and allow yourself to be, in those situations, you don't get the ability to grow and to level up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm pretty sure you sent me that same TED Talk in regards to vulnerability, and I know that we've come to each other to try to work on a lot of stuff together, because we are all in that same pool of trying to get it out the mud. And I feel like a lot of our stuff has been the lack of vulnerability to say, hey, I don't know if I can do this. That charges us up to go ahead and have the animosity be like, all right, well, this dude's not getting it off, so he's just fucking it off. So let's move away from it. It's nothing coming from this.
That definitely also includes like having those conversations. So like these things all kind of intertwine. Like, you have to have the confidence to be assertive. You have to have the confidence to be vulnerable.
Right.
Like, to do those things so you can level up.
Of course.
But it all takes time, and you have to like work on all those things.
Now, do you feel like sometimes you have not been as vulnerable as possible in your
absolutely.
life? Now, why do you feel like that vulnerability never manifested when you needed it to?
I think it's because you always know that there's sharks in the water, and you don't want to like leave blood in the water, because the sharks are definitely going to be attracted to that. So you don't want to tell everybody your weaknesses. You want to be always the strongest person, and that sometimes can be a weakness if you're not asking that question to people, and asking questions on how to level yourself up and get that little bit of information because you want to be the top dog, and you don't actually get to learn and level yourself up.
Right.
So it's necessary to like make sure you do those things. But what are some times that you've been maybe vulnerable or not vulnerable enough?
I guess you can say that whenever I start a new job or whatever, I'm definitely gonna show as little, or basically I'm not gonna show any vulnerabilities. I want to come in look as professional as possible.
Kind of like a search and
be friendly enough, exactly, but I'm mostly trying to, be a type A personality.
What's that?
Get things done by any means. I'm not gonna get in my head and let anything stop me. But I have also been vulnerable when I decide to share things with my coworkers about who I am and what I like. That way they can get to understand me, and when we work together, it's it's frictionless. So
No, I agree.
Yeah, that definitely helps because there are a lot of situations. I know me and Los worked at the same place for a little while, and it felt like, a lot of people were coming up and assuming that Carlos was one of these hard and bolded people who wasn't there to do the work. It was simply he came there, he sat down, and then left in the morning. But it was a night shift. It was very different. When you're like that, there's only so many people that are either going to be not vulnerable, but communicated with you and other things. And I feel like a lot of people misinterpret what it is that they're trying to say. Somebody will be like, oh, well, you're just very bold. And it's like, no, I'm not being vulnerable to you to go ahead and allow you to understand that there is a friendship or a co-workman's, partnership in this. When really a lot of people come into their workplace, like Los, I got him a job at this function which took care of mentally disabled people. He came in and he was Carlos, not very vulnerable, not very talkative. There's only so many things that he was going to do.
But are there times that you shouldn't be vulnerable?
Absolutely.
Because we talked about confidence, we talked about being assertive. Like, is there times that you shouldn't be vulnerable when
Just like you
in?
said with the sharks in the water, you have to go ahead and understand your environment before you open up.
Know when.
Yes. You need to know when exclusively. You can't be on your first date talking about how your husband beats you while you're at work.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like
we understand.
It's like time and a place, and at the same time
Exactly.
understanding your surroundings.
Exactly. Like, I don't know how to go ahead and take that. Do I call somebody, or is it just what typical practice is for y'all? Y'all fight each other? Like,
That doesn't mean
But-
don't beat yourself, but
But this is a big thing because when it comes to personal finance and things like that, a lot of people don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about their own pockets.
a lot of, and that's the issue of, personally, I put that as to what our parents allowed us to do. Were your parents very talkative about their finances with you?
what we seen them do.
To an extent.
Did your mother
I
ever
can't say
tell you?
very much so, but I
Yeah.
think it's 50% of the time
Was
they tell
it-
me what's going on.
And was it mostly like, oh, we can't afford this stuff?
Yeah, I don't think they went into detail of how much was coming in and how much was going out or anything like that.
But when you made a request,
But they
Then
might
we'll
say,
give you an
yeah,
answer.
they'll give me
That's not
that's
the
it,
budget.
yeah.
But that
Not in the
again,
budget or something.
I don't believe that that's proper way to go ahead and communicate with your kids, ways to communicate about money, because now there's situations like my situation where I don't feel like it's necessary to speak about money because my parents were never the type to go ahead and talk about the money that they have or what bills they're paying on or what they're doing, because their entitlement was, I'm the parent, you're the child,
That's
enjoy
what
being
it was.
carefree.
Yeah.
You don't have bills, stop asking me what this
You
is.
got
I'll
food,
tell you
clothes.
when we can afford it.
But shouldn't they have been telling us look, this is how it works. This is how the budget is set up, and this is where we should go.
Yeah.
when we got to a certain age, yes.
I feel like if you're doing this, you gotta tell your kid when they're aware of how money works. When kids are sitting here trying to be like, oh, Dad, can I have $20 to go and do this? Well, look, this is what we gotta do. I gotta pay for your mom's car. I gotta pay for your health insurance, my health insurance, all of our health insurance. I gotta pay for your shoes, your school. We gotta do this. So if I break it down to you like this, 10% here, 10% here, 10% here. Do you know what percents are yet? Okay. This is what our
But
percents are.
those
There's
are all
1% for
opportunities,
fun.
right?
Yeah.
Those are all opportunities for parents to teach their kids what's going on and be aware of letting their kids be aware, increasing their awareness, increasing their consciousness of how money works.
Right.
You know what I mean? You gotta have those conversations from a young age so you can develop thinking about those
And
things.
give them some responsibilities.
Yes.
You know,
This
hey,
is
run a lemon
personal
stand.
finance. Personal finance, there's so many memes and things about talking about they never taught us about taxes in high school. They never taught us how to do a budget in high school.
Because even
Or
the schools
anything.
feel like your money situation should be mostly spoken about at home.
So it's got to come from somewhere. If it's not coming in the classroom, it's got to come from somewhere.
But that's
Home.
that's the issue about society as well. Is they don't pay attention to the fact that how many people do you think really know about how to do their taxes? Do you know what
Go
the in and
pay
outs
a
are
guy.
of your taxes?
Go pay a guy.
Exactly.
Just pay him, and even though you can fill out a 1040 EZ form, which is a simple form to fill out with your W-2 in hand,
Right there.
and pay nothing.
Most people going to TurboTax do this shit still can't tell you what they're doing.
It's a really simple form to use, but at the same time, they're going to somebody else paying $40, paying $100, paying $200 or more to get their taxes done. Hopefully, hoping that they won't, miss anything. But at the same time, that person's just filling out a short form for you. That's you don't really need to pay them $40 to do.
Right. But I'm gonna tie this back to this right here. The main key point of this is the confidence. not only and everybody in the situation, to figure out your financials, to figure out how to budget, to figure out how to teach your kids the things that you need to. You need to have the confidence not only to say that this is what happens, but also to say, I do not know.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Like, I think that the new age parents coming up, they should definitely keep their children in the conversation. Keep the people around you in the conversation. You gotta be a little bit vulnerable,
Yeah.
but at the same time, make sure you have confidence and you're assertive in the same ways.
Yeah. Like, I could say this. I feel like a lot of, I'm not trying to women hate or do nothing like that. A lot of women say that men do not like to ask for directions.
I've heard that a lot of times too.
Okay, we're jolting off of the
I mean, at the same time, like,
doesn't that fit into the same narrative where it's like,
yes.
I know what I know. Now, what I'm going to share with you is what I'm comfortable and confident to share with you. Everything else, I'm just going to BS my way through it in a sense.
But at the same time, like, is it okay to be like vulnerable as a man to be like, look, I don't know where I'm going?
You can't do that.
Like when you're supposed to exactly. No, that's what they say, right? Like, but at the same time,
that's
how is that leveling me up? Like, how am I?
That's an inability to be vulnerable. Your father has always told you, "Hey, buddy, I know where I'm going."
Yeah, but
so what you've taken from that
is supposed to lead the family, though.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We decide that we as men have decided that when we do not know, we have to go with our gut feeling to go ahead and do that. Now, I'm one there to go ahead and do the same exact thing, so I cannot say boo on anybody, but I can say that I'm also aware and vulnerable enough to go ahead and expose that and be like, all right, I need to figure out where I'm going. Thank God for cell phones because it helps a lot more now, but it's still there where your vulnerability will tell you to go ahead and start this whole issue of, I don't know where I'm going, but I cannot admit that to these people because they'll lose.
Have you been in that? Where you didn't know where you were going, but
you're talking about.
You just didn't say it. You just said like, oh yeah, I'm over here. Like, I know where I'm going.
I don't know. I think I figured it out, or I think I called somebody and like, yo, bro, I need you, guy. I'm in hell right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's that vulnerability.
But I'm not pulling up side of the road like, yo, bro, I'm a lick.
Yeah, go around this corner real quick.
Take me to the dead end. You feel me?
You know what? Let me get in. I'm gonna take you.
So why won't you ask for directions?
It's just not a thing that our gender's supposed to be doing.
But think about that. If you're not asking for directions on the side of the road, what's going to make you ask for directions in
the workplace
or in the workplace or anywhere?
No, that's different.
It's the same thing, right? Like, if you don't know, you don't know. You got to ask somebody.
You got to be willing to learn.
Same foundation.
And ask for help.
Yeah.
I think my two things I would say, it's more like a statement. I think in order for someone to love, the first step 0 is to change your mindset. You got to be willing to, completely understand that you have a lot to do, right? If you want to go somewhere, you want to change, you want to do anything, you have to change how you think. You got to, reconfigure the way your brain works, your thoughts, what you're putting into, what you're consuming and how you're thinking. That's the first step. And then the second step, you got to increase your income. Those two things are like go hand in hand in order to level up. Change your mindset, increase your income.
So what you're saying is if you're trying to have an RN lifestyle, you can't have a BN mindset.
Yeah, at all. You have to be on point. You can't let every little thing get to you. You can't just be in your head so much where you're just constantly thinking the same thoughts. And you're in you're in a zone where you're not.
Groundhog Day, like it's just the same cycle. It's the same cyclical pattern.
You want to stop that. You want to break out of that pattern. If your goal, you're whatever, you're in your 20s, you're working a job, you went to school, whatever case you did, whatever case you might have done. At the end of the day, you want to stop working. You want to be your own boss. You got goals. Like you have to change how you think. Even if you want to keep the 9 to 5 and just level up within the company, like you have to change how you think because like what you've been doing hasn't gotten you there, and you've been wanting to like go somewhere further. So in order to change. In order to get a higher income, you gotta change how you think. Yes. And be willing to do all the things you say. You gotta be assertive, you gotta be vulnerable, and you have to have confidence.
What's some of the things you do to like change your mindset, or what's something that you maybe changed
things
in that
that help me change my mindset. I
Kids
think
learn
reading.
tools.
I think you have to be willing to read. I'm not saying like just go read, Grant Cardone or any self-help book. Make sure like there's knowledge and all that stuff, but I think you have to like look for content that can kind of help you shape how you want to think. I think that's the most important thing. And you also gotta, people think like nowadays it's so like woo-woo to say like, oh, you gotta visualize and manifest, but you do have to change how you think in order to then attract what you want. But it's like the saying goes like, or not the saying, but people say things like, how you gonna be asking God to guide the way if you're not willing to take any steps? So it's like people nowadays, you got all these weirdos that talk about visualize and, you gotta, what's the other word? I just said it, God damn it.
What's the other? Visualize, you gotta change your mindset.
No, the other word is like, it's not visualize, it's something else.
You basically
it's
to make it happen?
Nah, it's
But you're talking about all these self-help people who do go on to these things
I
and
can
say
think of that word, but yeah, it's like a very popular word that everyone uses, like a trendy word nowadays. It's like affirmations and shit like that. I can think what it is. Anyways, it's not just that. Like you have to be willing to put your head down and put the work in, and you gotta be willing to be uncomfortable.
Like
you
no
can
matter what you
pray about it, unless you take the steps to change and actually do the work, you're not gonna change your mindset. So I think first and foremost, read, like go on the internet and see what you can find, like how to become a better person. I don't know. It's that easy. Like gotta learn how to Google first and foremost if you wanna change your mindset technically. Like you gotta know how to search
for all the answers.
People just like you can't be going to sure. Like I know it's all like SEO and you get like the first thing is ad based and all that shit, but it's like you gotta learn what keywords to put into Google in order to get content you want to actually consume. So as far as like leveling up or becoming a better person, I think you gotta change your mindset and you gotta increase your income. The changing your mindset part will allow you to, grow before. Think about it. If you're not ready to accept the blessing, you're just gonna fuck it off.
Yeah.
Whether that's money at a young age or money at older, when you get older in life, like you don't have the foundation to be a better person, like or to just handle blessings as they come in.
It's gonna burn through. Same way money burns through NFL players who are not, old enough.
Even the ones with financial planners, they still have desires.
You're not aware that this financial planner has no qualm to taking all your money and skedaddling out of here. You have no qualms that you shouldn't be buying $20 million houses for these females who have no qualms and just have a baby by you. There's a necessity for understanding what you are, understanding who you are before you go ahead and move up, which is why what Carlos is talking about is so important. You need to first mentally know that you're ready for these moves. If you're sitting at a bar every weekend, do you think that you're ready to go ahead and take on a Fortune 5?
Nah, I think that's a couple nights that you need to stay home.
Yeah,
and focus
nights, on
something else.
It's a few nights you're sitting there and you don't need to be.
And that's your habits.
And that's right in the alleyway with son. Like you cannot just continue to move how you do and expect this entire world to get up and be like, yeah, we need to move at your beat. No, you need to get up.
Well, I think that's part of like
and change
our generational mindset, or people.
It's a cultural mindset.
Something that everybody believes is part of our generation, which is
a cultural
mindset. Entitlement. That we're all entitled to,
to
we
prosper.
could just sit around and all of a sudden it's just going to be handed to us.
See, but that's the thing. It's not, because it's a cultural thing. So many people culturally are not willing to go ahead and change. What's the big thing that happens when people get money in our culture? Oh, you change, fam. You don't even come around the hood no more. You don't even.
That's not how it's supposed to be.
No. I get bread. I'm getting a fudge up house of Perry Projects.
Aren't you supposed to change?
Fuck them niggas. If y'all don't want to change, y'all still want to sit here, drink a 40 on a stoop, and talk about all the same shit you was talking about. You're not
really leveling up.
You're not trying to move into something different. You're trying to stay the same.
You're not leveling up. You're
Stagnation is not the way to go. This world is moving. If you stand still, that's cool. I'm glad you're comfortable with standing still. But if you're trying to move with the world, that's a different conversation. That gets shit in motion. That gets shit done. The more and more that you sit here and just try to be the same nigga with the same hoes, with the same... You haven't even gotten out of Buffalo, fam, so why am I going to sit here and try to big you up?
Yeah, 100%. So it's also, you know, watching who you keep your surroundings, like who's surrounded around you, who's around you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's also very important. So, yeah.
I think, yeah, I agree.
Alright, so with all this, with all these things that we brought to this table,
That's
what
just,
do you think is more important when it comes to trying to level or better yourself? You have the
I
emotional.
think you need all of it,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
You have to be vulnerable, you have to be assertive, you have to have confidence. What was your other one? Confidence and you had two?
Self-confidence and determination.
And determination. You gotta be determined to change your mindset to increase your income. Like all these things like go together, and all of them have to do with personal finance and self-development. So like, it's all about leveling up.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta do all these things to level up.
Los, is there anything that you think sticks out further?
No, I think, you know, every single word you guys said, determination, assertiveness, vulnerability, confidence, you know, all those things can be wrapped into changing your mindset. So I think those like an umbrella, it's like an umbrella term, but I believe that once you change your mindset, then like you guys were just saying, like people you hang with, what you do, all that stuff starts to change. You know, your spending habits. If you're going out every weekend, you might not want to do that. You want to eat out every day, you're not going to do that. You want to save money in order to then get something or
Yeah, you gotta
take
give
a
up something.
vacation, whatever you gotta sacrifice, you know.
You gotta be disciplined.
I believe that the only way you can get forward in life is by taking shit away from yourself. Sacrifice something, or you stay in a place of comfort, then soon enough, you'll just, you know, you're there, and you're like 35, and now you're like, I don't have a family, I don't have this. And you slowly start to drift into this, you know, this mindset where like, as a man, you're not fulfilled.
But it's 100% possible to like change all that.
It is. It
Yeah.
can happen in a year's time.
So
In a year and a half, 18 months, you could change how you think. You can change your whole life in, you know, 1.5 years. So I think that at the end of the day, it's about being determined to do that.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And okay, I agree with all these. I agree with everything that we've been sitting here saying, because I do not feel like for someone to be successful, it's something that's just going to sprout up overnight. And if it does, it's not going to last like that.
I mean, a lot of people look at these guys that are sticking out right now, which is the Wolf of Wall Street, whatever his name is,
Jordan Belfort.
Jordan Belfort, Grant Cardone, and Gary Vee.
Mm-hmm.
And they're top guys right now. They're telling you how to do it, and they're telling you all these things. But look how old they are. Like, they're not 20. These guys are not 20 years old. And they also talk about that.
They were 30, mid-30s.
So, like, you can't expect to be where they're at tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took them time to get to where they are.
Absolutely.
So I'm not knocking them for anything that they're doing, and I think that they actually talk about like the fact that it's not going to happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's about taking the time to get right.
And once you decide what it is you want to do, now you gotta work your ass off 10 times. Even like you gotta go even harder now that you know what you want to do. Like, you know, once you get your foot in the door at whatever place or whatever it is you want to do, now you gotta go even. You know, you gotta be way more competitive with yourself and with your peers. So I think that's kind of like what it comes down to, being determined. You know, understand it's a grind. It's not gonna happen in 2 weeks. And just sticking with it. You know, not giving up on yourself.
Nah, I agree, 100%. So yeah, that's leveling up. Leave some comments. If there's anything else you think is necessary to leveling up, throw some comments out there for us. Make sure you like and subscribe.